Hello there, I'm John. I'm a curator of industrial history with Leeds Museums and Galleries. It's great to be able to talk to the 1152 Club again. And today I'm going to tell you very briefly about a recent visit I made to Sierra Leone. Leeds has had long connections with the former colony through mainly locomotive building. Leeds companies built over 100 locomotives for the territory, and we have a twinning arrangement with the Sierra Leone National Railway Museum. We have a Manning Wardle tank locomotive called Aldworth, and they have a locomotive by the same builder called Nelly, and we've been celebrating that link for the last 5 or so years. Sierra Leone is a fairly small country. It's sandwiched in between two former French colonies. Sierra Leone was a British colony. Britain has been involved since the 1600s, so quite a lot of history there. So, in terms of railway building, the railway was started in the colony in 1897. It was an initiative by the Liverpool Chamber of Commerce with the main intention to extract as many natural resources from the country as possible. The locomotive at the background has got a nameplate which says by Bury, and that was named after an African, a Sierra Leone ultimate thief called by Bury. This is him here. On the right is a depiction that was widely used in the British press, and on the left, that's him at his home village. The reason I tell you about him is that he led a rebellion against the hut tax, which was raised by the British to mainly pay for the railway. He had been quite a cooperative local chieftain up until that point, but this was obviously the straw that broke the camel's back, and the actions of the rebellion really gave the British authorities a headache and actually stopped the building of the railway for a period. He was vilified in the British press, but he was eventually allowed back. He was deported and exiled into the Gold Coast, but allowed back in to Sierra Leone 5 years later. So when we got to Sierra Leone, this was our mode of transport to get between hotel and museum and to the various other sort of railway-related locations that we visited. They're called keh-kehs in Freetown. I think other places they call them tuk-tuks, but they are an exciting form of transport, shall I say. So one of the activities was to try and trace the route of the original line, which has been largely obscured due to subsequent development in the city of Freetown. The line went from Freetown and then right out into the southeast, and also a spur to the northeast of the country. This is Nichols Bridge, which is in the city of Freetown, and you can see that the town was, fairly pleasant looking, with some quite grand colonial buildings and lots of green space. So this is probably late 1800s, early 1900s. Fast forward to today. This is the same bridge, believe it or not, and this is a photograph I took when we were doing our walk round, and the effect of the dreadful civil war was to suck hundreds of thousands of people into Freetown to escape the RUF rebel force, who were really running amok in the country, and their brutality is well known. So every space is filled up with habitations. This is one of the shanty towns that's grown up around the bridge, and there's not a lot of green space to see, as you can see here. One of the other locations we went to, this is quite close to Nichols Bridge, and it's called Susan's Bay, and it's actually one of the locations used in the 1953 film starring Trevor Howard, The Heart of the Matter, which centres around diamond dealing, illicit diamond dealing, and Trevor Howard is seen walking down these steps in the film. And diamonds are very much the heart of the matter in the Sierra Leone story. They were discovered in the 1920s and have caused no end of conflict since then, and that's probably a talk for another day. The museum itself is particularly impressive in terms of the way they've built up their education service. They have 6 full-time members of staff, and they also have a learning officer. And schools really are the lifeblood of the museum. And the museum in Freetown is in quite a busy industrial area, and it's a real haven for people to come to. It's a quiet space, and schools just really get so much out of it. The way they attracted schools was not to, like here, to go online and just kind of let people know you're there. They had to walk around schools and make face-to-face contact. So when I was out there, the team at the museum, these are 2 of the paid members of staff, they were engaged in restoring some of the old railway signs up in the city, and they used kind of communication and liaison with local people to organise the kind of looking after of the signs. So this is before the sign was repainted, and the local people have undertaken to look after the signs once the museum people go away. So that's a good example of social and communication with the community. So when I was there, we undertook a range of training activities, including just an explanation with Steve Clues from the Welsh Pool and Landfair Railway, pictured on the left, explaining the intricacies of how a steam locomotive works. And on to the right, this is me delivering a workshop on Leeds history to some of the museum staff. If some of them look tired, that's because some of them work at the night, during the night as well, and the museum is their day job, so they hold down 2 jobs. So it's not just my voice that's boring. Also, part of the visit, we went out to a place called Bowie Junction. So this is us heading out on the various quality of roads out to mark a designation of a very important railway infrastructure centre out in the upcountry, really. And the entire village turned out to welcome us, and it was a major event with religious leaders, police, musical performances, and so on. This is us meeting the ultimate chief of the village as well. He actually checked himself out of hospital to come to attend the event. Such was the perceived importance of it. And these are a couple of the staff members. The museum has continued to sort of train people up in engineering skills and painting skills, so that's an ongoing process. This is some of the staff painting the steps on the museum. There's a little red star in the background of the picture there, and that's just to kind of contrast with the next slide. You can see the red star here in the foreground. This is the museum just shortly after the Civil War, and the kind of the entrance grounds to the museum were a refugee camp, and it just shows you the progress that's been made in that part of the city of Freetown. So that's my very quick whistle-stop tour of Sierra Leone. If you want to know any more about it, please do feel free to get in touch, and I'll be happy to tell you more. Thank you very much for listening.